I say it's safe to surf this beach, Captain! It's safe to surf this beach! I mean, I'm not afraid to surf this place! I'll say surf this fucking place! There are you, folks.
Someday this podcast is going to end. But not today. This is spoilers!
This is spoiler.
I didn't know to go with that or if I love the smell of spoilers in the morning. You said spoiler with extreme prejudice. We had a couple.
Terminate the spoiler. Terminate with extreme prejudice.
Extreme spoiler.
Yours was great. What actually ends in this movie though? Just the doors end?
This is the ends.
This ends. Okay. I'm clear now.
And audience, if you're not clear on why we're doing Apocalypse Now, we're doing something fun. We're doing something different. Another multi-part Francis Ford Coppola series like we did with The Godfather, like we did with Jack, like we're going to do with Apocalypse Now. We can't get enough.
This is like what we did with Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
And I'm pretty excited about this. Our plan, can we do some housekeeping here at the top of the pod? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is a Thursday. Full disclosure, May 22nd, 2025. We're looking to release this tomorrow.
Ooh.
And then in a week, part 2. And then in 2 weeks, part 3. So you're going to get Apocalypse Now, part 1. It's like timestamp 0.0 to what, Pappy?
To an hour, 12 minutes in the theatrical cut, not
hugely
final.
important. Theatrical cut, and it's like this fade from like an eye to like the landscape.
Yeah.
So part 2 is going to be the rest of the movie, and then part 3 for spoilers is going to be the documentary Heart of Darkness. We're going to check that out. And I've not seen that, so I'm really looking forward to that. And Stevie's going to be with us too.
Stevie will be back. Timestamps went incredibly smooth this time. I'm not going to say because Stevie wasn't on the call, but he's not here to defend himself. So, yeah, I'm going to say.
Timestamps incredibly smooth.
I did great. But smooth transition to the start of a normal spoilers episode. Did not tell you guys about this question ahead of time. Wanted to spring it on you and get your reaction. What war do you feel you would fare the best in? Whatever that means to you.
Do we get our modern weaponry that we currently own to bring back with us?
No, sir, but you will have a Brett in the trenches as well.
What? Does he have his weapons?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's like an Overwatch specialty.
Yeah, right,
Get him,
yeah.
Brett.
It's your superpower. No, just you and the technology of the time. Pappy, recording from my living room, watching Apocalypse Now with Josh. This is tough because I don't feel like I'm going to get a good grade in any of these wars, you know? So I'm like really trying to see like which one will I be able to
You were once voted
in?
weakest spoiler
Yeah.
man, or like most likely to die in a fight or something.
Give me brother versus brother. Give me Civil War. I think I could do okay. I've seen Glory. I would fight for the North, obviously.
Your distant Native American relatives wouldn't have.
Wait a second. Yeah, that's the thing I'm going to
As
avenge.
slave owners.
That's why it's brother versus brother.
Oh, so you're fighting for the losing side ultimately.
No.
Interesting.
Well, listen, I think I would be great. I think I could handle like getting tourniqueted and pouring whiskey on a wound to kill the gangrene. Like
Sawing an arm off with a butcher's knife.
The war where you lose either way.
I feel
Great
like
choice.
Every Civil War veteran was named Pappy, by the way, who survived. So I am set up for the next.
Man, you've
10
been thinking
years
about
of my
this
life.
answer for a while. Damn.
Hopefully, that gave you enough time, Josh. Do you have a war you would fare well in?
Wow, Josh from Goshen, I'm up. Just so you know out there, we truly get no notice on almost all of these opening questions. It's a
Sprung
feature,
upon.
not
Yeah.
a bug. That said, while Pappy was saying his great answer, I looked up the oldest war in recorded history, okay? So just bear with me. It was in Mesopotamia, took place at like almost 3000 BC, and is between Sumer and Elam. And I just choose that because I think it's generally known that humans have gotten taller and larger over time. And as a 6'4" dude, I'm just going for when I know the people were the smallest. So that's the longest ago in recorded history.
So the 100 people versus one gorilla scenario.
I'm the gorilla.
David versus Josh Goliath.
That's fine. Oh, dang, I get smoked, but...
Whose side are you fighting on? The Sumars or the Elon Musks? Or
That wasn't part of the question. Listen.
Yeah, you do
I just
have to
watched
pick
Heart
a
of Darkness
side.
and I realized I should cast no judgment.
Whose politics do you align with?
Sounds like an Elon supporter. He just doesn't want to.
It's Elon. It's not Elon. Read a book, guys. Okay, Josh from Goshen, that's my answer. Longest recorded war ago in history.
Mikey, you got a similar strat?
I mean, I think the Civil War, Mikey recording from Chicago, I think the Civil War is like the obvious choice just because.
It was so horrifying. Like, what is your guys'
I mean,
fucking
I'm
problem?
going to have to
What
kill
are you
you,
talking
Mikey.
about?
Spoiler brother versus spoiler brother? No.
Just because it just seems to be the most even, I guess. I mean, the weapons back then were terrible, so it's like getting hit with the stray bullet seems way harder back then than now. I don't know. The guys back then also didn't seem that athletic, I guess, maybe from the pictures we've seen. They just seem like they're kind of skin and bones. So maybe we could, if it comes down to hand-to-hand combat, I mean, I think we could do fairly well versus some Civil War soldiers.
I think if you're not drunk, you have a leg up on at least half of them. Easily.
Yeah.
And
Well, why would you not want to be drunk? Like, what do you mean?
yeah,
I don't know. Drink and drugs have been part of every war, except for maybe that one Sumer versus Elam.
oh, you did. You know, they were tripping on mushrooms or whatever. That's what
Wine.
they were fighting over.
They were licking toads back then.
Yeah. I noticed no one picked Vietnam. Interesting.
Can we talk about this for a
A
second?
war we clearly won.
No one wants to triumph. In South
Honestly,
Asia?
I think something that's pretty ridiculous. We're going to get into this movie, and it's about the Vietnam War, essentially. But, like, I honestly feel like my upbringing in middle America in the 90s is basically like, yeah, we won Vietnam, but it was pretty tough. That's
Yeah.
my memory of it. Like, some people called it a tie, but, like, we it wasn't, meh. But, like, I think that's just straight propaganda, maybe.
You don't. You're saying we didn't win the Vietnam War?
I think we may have gotten our ass kicked, actually.
Isn't it a capital of commerce and capitalism by now? Haven't we spread democracy to Vietnam?
Viet Cong, Josh.
It seems like not only did we not accomplish our goals in the country, but we also, like, the government lost a lot of esteem abroad. We lost a lot of money.
All in the name of freedom.
And the government lost a lot of trust stateside too, just like feeding all these soldiers to the meat grinder, and it was like broadcast on TV and like the radio every day. People knew about this. I remember Wonder Years episode where they like were listening to all the
yeah.
deaths on the radio.
I do remember that one too. Sad.
What's your guys just a broad take on the Vietnam War as we get into this? Because like,
Seemed bad.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't even alive back then.
I will say it felt like a bigger part of like 90s lore. Like the Vietnam veteran trope was like
it ended in like 74.
Okay, sure. I don't know, like between a bunch of presidents, right? Kennedy
I don't know,
and
and that doesn't really matter. I guess
Nixon-ish.
I just
When
don't
did they
know anybody
surrender?
like who even went to the Vietnam War, so that's like kind of a tough one.
I say it's an all-time war memorial. Have you seen that one in Washington, D.C.? That's
I
a
have,
real
actually.
good one.
It
And
is.
pretty sad. And it's not like the World War II one where there's like a sense of pride to it. There's a sense of like solemnness. You know what I mean? It's not a
yes.
glorious monument, I would say. It's reflective of all the
A
people
lot
who
of those
died.
deaths were pretty bad too. Rambo, which was a Mikey pick way back in the day, is another Vietnam aftermath movie, right?
They're still making it up to the 90s, like Forrest Gump, in a lot of ways, talks about the Vietnam War.
I think it's an inflection point in American history, obviously. Not breaking any new news with that one, but I just feel like the way I was literally taught at Oxbow Elementary School in the 90s in Goshen, Indiana was like comical.
We won, but it was a close game.
I guess it went into overtime, guys. Like, heroes on both sides.
I think while we're talking about the meta politics of it, I do think it's weird that like there's no equivalent of these kind of movies for Iraq, right? Or if they are, they're not as well known as like Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, Apocalypse Now, you know? Which at this point in time, it being the late 70s and it being a very fresh war, like we should have a bunch of like of these Iraq type movies. And you know, it's not a very
I mean there's probably a few out there. I don't know what that new what Alex Garland Warfare movie. Yeah, I mean that seems like it might be kind of critical, but yeah, you're right. A lot of at least Middle Eastern war movies are really kind of propaganda.
Well, and like even not if it's not like a straightforward action story like a war movie, or even like, oh man, like war's not great, but it really does fuck the people up. Like this movie is just like war is insanity. This is like so critical.
Behind the veil of the fucked up shit that goes on.
American deaths in Iraq is like, I think 4,000, 5,000.
Okay.
Round up to 5,000. And in Vietnam, it's like 60,000.
Jesus. Yeah.
So just deaths alone, Vietnam was like 10, 12 times the impact that Iraq was.
The difference in like the technology that each side had kind of really shows how willy-nilly they were with just like throwing more bodies at the problem, because in all senses it's like we should have just dominated. We have like helicopters, boats where we can communicate and travel all over the place, and these guys are just like farmers with guns, and we're just getting obliterated by these guys. It's like devastating how many people we lost.
Mm-hmm. At no point in time are like, and this will be obvious if you've seen the movie, but are any of the characters' goals in Apocalypse Now like to survive a mission or to successfully defeat an enemy, right? Like Josh, set us up here a little bit. Emilio Estevez's father, a young Emilio Estevez's father. What's he up to?
The first thing he's up to is looking like a handsome Emmer effing man. He looks like an exact replica cross of Emilio and Charlie Sheen. It's actually kind of insane. He also kind of looks like Spoiler Man Stevie. Do you guys get that at all? Like the thickness of his hair, his wide expressive eyes. Stevie's a very handsome man. I'll admit it. It's fine. But I actually have a quote that I pulled from, or a clip that I pulled from this hotel room at the beginning.
Okay.
I think it kind of sets the scene for like what's in his head here at the beginning. What's in Martin Sheen's head anyway?
Saigon. Shit. I'm still only in Saigon. Every time I think I'm gonna wake up back in the jungle. When I was home after my first tour, it was worse.
And this is as normal as he will be and the movie will be for the rest of the time. These are the happy times. This is the stasis.
When I was editing those clips, there was like 4 times as much gap between all that dialogue.
Cut it down a little bit.
Way down. So say thanks later, listeners. But no, actually, I think it just speaks to like the timing of this movie. Like we're looking at the screen right now, and it's like close up of his pistol, close up of a whiskey glass, close up of his bloody hand. It's the fan. There's like so much that they show that tells the story while he's looking through the blinds and being like I'm just still in this major city right now. I want to get into the shit. It's kind of what he's saying, I think.
And it looks like he's on a bender.
Oh yeah.
Dude, all his like other military officers come to like deliver him mail, and they are all very worried for Martin Sheen's health here at the beginning.
He's got the meat sweats. He's just...
Well, that's not going to stop.
You telling me you guys have never been so drunk by yourself in a hotel room you're doing Tai Chi in your briefs, in your boxer briefs? You've never done that and punched a mirror?
You know, he does that in front of the mirror, and then I noticed several other soldiers kind of do similar stuff while either on LSD or after a fight. Like, it's kind of a thing maybe from the 60s to do all these, like, yoga-ish exercises.
It's also a very, like, weirdly Southern California movie in a lot of ways. Yeah, we're watching a guy who looks just like Stevie in his briefs do a drunken, almost surfing-looking thing. But what I was going to say, it's a very, like, Southern California movie with, like, all the surfing that comes up a little bit later and the Doors playing.
Mm-hmm.
Mikey, how do you feel about the Doors? You a Doors guy?
Well, I mean, some of my first CDs, one was like the Doors' greatest hits, and I listened to that quite a bit. But I haven't listened to them in a long time. I do like that Val Kilmer movie, but yeah, it's been a while since I've listened to the Doors. My dad likes them.
We can't just jam out to this. Oscar from ACAST will have our
On our ass, yeah. You said before the podcast started, how long do you think the song The End is? Do you want to tell the audience the closest to? Audience, play along, by the way. Guess. Everyone in the car, shout out your answer.
How long do you think the Doors, the song The End is? I think it's like 11 minutes, 52 seconds.
Yeah.
Just a quick little guy.
Well, like, when are they going to get to it?
We had to do like some special stuff to our board to even get this in.
Yeah.
Oscar from ACAST, please don't tear
We're
down.
talking about the song, I
Yeah,
promise.
we're critiquing the movie right now. Like, I actually thought this song did contribute maybe more than any of the others to the movie. With the napalm at the beginning, I know we're past the very, very beginning, but this was effective, and I'm glad it wasn't just Fortunate Son the entire time through.
Well, could have used a little bit more credence. Well, the army does come to his goon cave, bloodied from his hand that he really punched a mirror with.
Do you guys know how they call it, like... Okay, if you have kids listening, give them earmuffs.
Yeah,
But if you have, like...
if you haven't already.
If one of your hands is, like, numb, it's called the stranger.
Stranger? Yeah.
What is it called if you, like, off with your own blood?
God,
God.
The sacrilege? I don't know. Like, with your left hand. He's got a lot of blood on his hands. There's a lot of nudity here at the top. It's...
So he actually cut his hand there?
Yeah.
I'm assuming?
Yes.
he really
Yeah.
punched the mirror.
And it
Fucking
is a
psycho.
goon cave.
Yeah, he's getting sent to an army base or something in Vietnam. I'm going to go talk to a general and an officer played by Harrison Ford, which I was like crazy surprised to see in this movie. I didn't know he was in this.
Young Harrison
but
Ford.
very young Harrison Ford. And they give him a mission that doesn't exist. Keep in mind, this guy is like, they call it SOG, and it's stands for Special Operations Group. So he's basically special forces. He's like Navy SEALs before they were called that. So he's like the best of the best, but he's also insane. And they want him to go in there and kill a colonel who had gone rogue, played by Marlon Brando, Colonel Kurtz. We don't know kind of the extent of his crimes, but he did have like 4 people assassinated, and now the army wants to go into the jungle and kill him.
This Colonel Kurtz seems like a pretty cool guy to me. I don't know why. Just sweating it.
Well, a big part of their proof that they talk about is this tape they play. It's like a cassette tape. It's something weird. It's actually way larger than a cassette. But they play this audio, and it's Marlon Brando being like, I wish I was a snail on a razor's edge, surviving. A straight razor, mind you. It's like... But that's their big proof. They're like, you hear that? You need to kill.
We gotta kill this guy with prejudice.
You see that? Communism has infected his brain. Yeah, he's talking like a Manchurian Candidate type deal. Really nutty stuff.
I think the movie making tells us that these people are actually perturbed about Kurtz's behavior. But like, to this movie's point, Robert Duvall's character, they're cool with him murdering and just like moving around where the surf is good. Either they're recognizing Kurtz has gone above and beyond that, or they're just arbitrarily picking people they don't like. And I think it's the first one, Pappy. I think that like they've heard something that like Kurtz is like more than just murdering people. He's like, there's a hint of a heart of darkness.
Yeah, the people treat him like a god out there in Cambodia. He also shouldn't even be in Cambodia. There's just like a more overwhelming sense with this scene too, where, just to recap what we've seen so far, we've seen an extended sequence of the Doors while the jungle burns with napalm. We've seen Martin Sheen dancing around in his underwear, bleeding everywhere. And now we're in like a nice, relatively air-conditioned meal happening room where they're casually discussing assassinating a member of the United States military covertly in an unofficial mission that's not really happening.
Well, there's less sweat until they get to like the real climax of what they want to say.
I didn't think...
You notice that?
Well, I didn't think the Sheen family could get any sweatier than this until the arrival with Charlie Sheen, and we were all blown away.
Martin Sheen is completely sweaty throughout this whole film, except right here. It's pretty air-conditioned. But even Harrison Ford, a young Harrison Ford, a pre-famous Harrison Ford, gets really sweaty here when he has to tell him his mission just straight up. After a lot of roundabouts, this is actually your mission, buddy.
Your mission is to proceed up the Nung River in a Navy patrol boat. Pick up Colonel Kurtz's path at New Mung Ba. Follow it, learn what you can along the way. When you find the colonel, infiltrate his team by whatever means available, and terminate the colonel's command.
Terminate the colonel. He's out there operating without any decent restraint, totally beyond the pale of any acceptable human conduct. And he's still in the field commanding troops.
Terminate with extreme prejudice.
Not a little bit of prejudice. Extreme prejudice.
I Googled the meaning of prejudice after I heard this line in this movie. And it's like, go in there with the opinion that he's like a bad dude that you need to kill quick. Like he's Osama bin Laden. He needs to be taken out. If his sons are sitting in the stairwell, take them out on your way.
There's also a guy in this scene whose name is Jerry Zeismer. His character
This guy is CIA, right?
Oh, dude, for sure. Describe the look of this guy and the vibe of this guy, Mikey.
I'm looking at his IMDb photo, and it's literally him at the table, just giving the side eye to Martin Sheen. But he's got kind of a goofy haircut. He's got his tie completely undone, like wrapped around his neck, because I'm sure it's like hot as hell in there. But like he's in like casual, he's in like a business suit without the overcoat on, and he's hasn't said anything the entire time, and he's just like looking at Martin Sheen. But
He's constantly giving us side eye too.
yeah, that he's like he's with a different agency or something, and he's here to kind of give the intel on what Martin Sheen should do.
He's credited as civilian. So I feel like you're either supposed to think he's like some sort of oligarch or like, yeah, in the CIA, deep undercover or high up or something.
He's like plausible deniability between like Johnson and the army on the ground, right? Like someone's got to be the middleman or something. But, you know, it's not super clear to Captain Willard, a.k.a. Emilio Estevez's father, or us, the audience, you know, exactly why Kurtz needs to die, or, you know, a lot of the details around his mission. It's not clear why we're in Vietnam to begin with anyway. That's kind of the point. But Josh...
To kill communism.
Oh, protect freedom.
To get a good feather in your cap for capitalism.
Josh, as we head into the heart of darkness, we're going to go downriver.
Yeah.
Any characters that stood out to you from the boat?
Of course. Oh, I think all the characters stick out in their own ways, but one character I would like to point out is Joseph Conrad, the original author for Heart of Darkness, which this movie is loosely based on. And there's a point in my life where I considered that my favorite book.
Really?
A pretty pretentious age. Honestly, I don't even at this point in my life remember a ton of detail from the book. But this idea of like going forth on the river to track down this person who's kind of lost their way is the heart of darkness. Like that's what that's about. Like let's go explore what happens to someone when they just get unmediated kind of like power over locals and land and kind of get like a deified perspective of themselves or something. So shout out to Joseph Conrad, original writer. I do think this movie maintains the soul of what that like book was about, and we can get more into that later and probably more in part 2, the next episode. If I'm going to take a character from the boat though, is that kind of what you want me to do?
Well, I was going to ask, how long is the book, by the way?
It's a shorter book. It's like one of those thin boys.
Ooh, I could get down with that.
Yeah, you could knock that out. Maybe that could be a part 4 for this. Interesting.
Maybe I'll try and read it between now and next
Spoilers
week.
book club?
I don't think that's going to come out in like this weekly thing that we set up at the beginning of the pod. But
yeah, any character from the boat, or because you're right. The boat is like one of the main characters, especially of the early part, this chapter of the movie.
This idea of just carving your way, and like the boat. I think it helps if you think of it as a spaceship traveling through alien lands. Like, just a complete disconnect of culture and technology that is palpable. And it is almost like a Star Trek episode in a way. But
no one we see on the ground in this war gives a fuck about their job, right? Like, no one, like, this is a you have to be here type situation, not a I'm bought into the mission type situation, right? So like these guys are like water skiing. I mean, like they care, right? Like, they want to get this guy up the river.
They don't want to die,
right? Yeah. Nor do they want it to like. Are they all in, right? Like as we're getting introduced to these guys, Lance, we'll talk about a little bit more later. I'll start with him. Surfer dude, right? I told you, a very Southern California movie. Sneaky Southern California in a lot of ways, but like the fact that he is a famous surfer, kind of an outlier of the group too, to have a famous surfer person there, but just kind of, I don't know.
what an amazing character.
Yeah.
It's spoilers, so I'll say it. He's the one that survives to the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He kind of gets zooted out and becomes one with everything, and is presumably like almost a Jesus character. Incredibly vibrant character, even though he doesn't talk that much.
Yeah.
Mikey, how long did it take for you to realize that Morpheus was in this movie?
I think he's pretty recognizable, but I didn't realize that he was in this movie.
14 years old, Morpheus.
14 years. Wow, that's crazy.
14?
Yeah.
That's insane.
FFC cast him extra young to
Why?
make him look young. Like,
To make him look
the kids, they're all kids, so. That's crazy though, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is crazy. But he doesn't really have a whole lot of speaking parts. He's just he has a memorable scene with I guess Martin Sheen comments that like he's kind of driving him crazy on this boat because he's like drumming and tapping on shit all the time. But yeah, he doesn't say a lot, but man, it's awesome that there's just so many names already in the cast. Like, not a lot of speaking parts, I guess, but just seeing different faces is pretty crazy.
Is this a chicken or the egg situation here, Pap? Like, just we're so far out of context here in 2025 talking about this super old movie. Literally, this is a super old movie
At
right
this
now.
point, yeah.
But are a lot of these actors famous maybe kind of because they were in this movie?
Yeah. And you have to think about like the run that Francis Ford Coppola is on at this point too, to be cast in this movie. Also famously, Harvey Keitel was the original Willard, but we'll talk about that in the Heart of Darkness episode, I'm sure. But yeah, I feel like to get to this point, you saw something in Larry Fishburne, but credited as Larry Fishburne in this movie, and then once you're in a Francis Ford Coppola movie in the 70s, a movie everyone's seen, then you're going to be considered
At 14.
for things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else from the crew, Josh, that we're forgetting? We said Larry Fishburne.
What about Chef? He's a good guy. What about the captain? You know, I think those are the two other very prominent characters here.
I like Chef. Chef seems like a crazy ass. Wants to be a, what is it?
Saucier.
Saucier.
He was a saucier.
He was going to go to France.
He was raised to be a saucier.
I would never trust Pappy to be a saucier.
There's also kind of a dynamic where there's like these different branches of the military who we're interacting with. Like these guys are Navy, right? But Willard is Army, Special Forces, and later we'll get an attention on like they don't know why he's there. So all of these crew members are just like, well, we're gonna go into some hairy places. And I knew this guy was up to no fucking good the second I saw him.
A
But
bit of a sense of pulling rank. Like, you just have to do this because I say it's classified or something.
Mm-hmm. You remember the name of the captain on the boat? I can't find it.
Chief?
Chief?
Just call him Chief.
Well, anyway, I like him
Is
because
that right?
he's very no nonsense, right? Like he's just kind of he's probably taking the shit the most seriously.
Yeah, the one guy who actually, to your point, does do his job, like has respect for his job, was not just drafted into this pointless war or is like a criminal who joined the army or anything like that. He's just a guy who actually joined to do the job.
Albert Hall is Chief.
Albert Hall. So as they make their way down the river, this is the squad who we're rolling with for now, and all throughout part one. Things are going to start to get even more weird. And one of the first places we stop is honestly one of my favorite scenes in movie history, just from top to bottom. And Josh, when you texted me and said, hey, what clips did you want? I said, give me all the Duvall. Just give me all the Duvall. A little bit on the nose name, Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore. What's his deal, Josh? 2 Movie Club, I think, Robert Duvall. I will pressure test that, but
Just a classic, like, person in command, like, command military character. Previously watching this as a kid, I never put together the, like, Godfather to this movie connection specifically with him. He's what is his name in The Godfather? He's the auxiliary for a while.
Tom. Yeah. He's a lawyer.
Yeah, he's the everyone knows his character in that. but it's not really recognizable to who he is in this movie. He's skin-headed. He's in Godfather. He's one of the more reserved characters. He's kind of like an outcast who's trying to fit in, but like also blaze his own way. But in this movie, he's like, I'm King Kong shit. And he's Kurtz Jr., essentially. For those who are like super into Heart of Darkness and like the characters like put forth in this fiction, like he's on his way to being the next Kurtz, wouldn't you say, Pappy?
Oh yeah. I mean, like maybe I feel like he's got like a slightly different moral code. He loves the war, and like maybe not necessarily like everything that it stands for, or even like I said, like anyone else more than anyone else knows why he's there, but he feels at home in this war.
His most basic end game for this war is finding the best surf spot. That's like how fucked his view is on the war.
When he says someday this war is going to end, I feel like it's not a optimistic thing from his perspective. He's like, shit, man, someday I'm not going to be able to just surf all day. That's going to suck.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have all this.
Absolutely insane.
My dick won't swing as long, and I'll have to like surf with all the plebs. You know what I mean? It's not going to be fun
You know what it's like? We all lived through COVID. And there are some people that were like, you know, someday COVID's going to have to end.
Yeah, it is just like that.
Wait a second. I thought we all wanted to get out of COVID. Right?
There's also like this like absurdity with his character. And maybe this is true. And don't be offended, army bros, army or people. But the fact that he's cavalry, and he's like still wearing the fucking hat like a fucking colonel, like a General Custer out there. Like why? I understand that it's evolved into helicopters now. He's a helicopter unit, like the Army Cavalry, but he's dressed like a fucking cowboy who loves to fucking surf. Charlie Don't Surf. Great Clash song, by the way. Hearing him say things like that, hearing him say things like I love the smell of napalm in the morning. That to me is like
I can't believe I didn't pull that clip.
Well, it's okay. We'll start off part 2 with it or something.
Well, I gotta say that one of the clips I did pull shows how much he cares about surfing. Should I play that one?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one.
This man's hurt pretty bad, sir. About the only thing that's holding his guts in, sir, is that pot lid.
Yeah? What do you have to say?
This soldier is dirty busy. He wants water. He can drink patty water.
Get out of here! Give me that canteen. Any man brave enough to get out of here! Kick your fucking ass!
Including a lot of our people, you know?
Any man brave enough to fight with his guts strapped on him can drink from my canteen any day!
Hey, Colonel!
I think one of those sailors, Lance Johnson, the surfer. Wait, here, you sure? Down there.
So he goes through this whole rigmarole about how if this guy is brave enough to hold in his own guts with a pan, he can drink out of my canteen. But before he even is able to drink any out of his canteen, someone tells him that the surfer is in town, and he just completely fucking forgets about this dude on the ground. Like, surfing trumps everything.
Kilgore has like such a tremendous amount of power and responsibility, but he is singularly focused on like having a good time, drinking beers, playing his guitar, and surfing, to the point where, you know, you think, like you're saying, Josh, you think he's going to be this good guy, give this Vietnamese person a drink, and like, oh, a famous surfer? Like, this guy knows the surfing scene.
But he's also like good at his military job. And he's like, yeah, I can just like offhandedly like call the offense, but on the side, we're just going to surf in every single waking moment we can.
Yeah.
We're going to napalm this entire beachfront so that we can surf for a few hours at sunset or something.
Yeah, he's the kid from Brink. He's always trying to catch a sweet ride.
He's so pumped that the waves break two ways. The two guys can surf at once. He's so excited about that. He just keeps pointing it out to Lance. Like, what do you think about that? And Lance is like, that was pretty scary. He's like, no, you fucking idiot, the waves. What I find interesting about this part is like when I think about Apocalypse Now in like the abstract, or like before I saw Apocalypse Now, when I was like early college, late teen, that time, I was like, it seems like a very serious movie. You know what I mean? And like, don't get me wrong, it is a very intense movie at times. But this whole Kilgore Beach thing, this shit's like a farce. This is like pure satire, right? Like just the insanity of his performance is just over the top. It's almost like we said in Brando and The Godfather, like now Duvall is swinging for the fences, and if he doesn't make contact with his ball, he looks like a fucking idiot. But he hits it out of the park and creates like iconic movie lines in the process.
Well, speaking of it being a farce, they walk in front of a camera.
Yeah.
And there's like either a director or a news reporter who's telling them, just keep walking.
Not it's, just any director, Mikey. That's the director of Jack.
That's FF.
Yeah. C. That guy went on to make Jack.
Wow.
That's Francis Ford.
So I thought that was just like meta commentary on how the media uses the war to spread propaganda or whatever like that through the reporting, the movies, everything.
There's this look in their eye where they're like, what in the absolute fuck? Like, why are we genuinely scared for our lives while you're filming us right now? No one knows what the hell's going on.
Yeah, and like guys in the background are praying, they're having like a service.
Yeah, like a Catholic mass is happening. Yeah. It's just absurd. It's totally absurd. I also think like the scale of some of the scenes, like the Flight of the Valkyrie scene, as we get into clearing this beach, presumably to help the boat get there, but in reality to open up some sweet breaks on both sides. The scale of this movie, Mikey, is pretty fucking cool, isn't it?
This scene is amazing.
It's insane.
This is an amazing scene.
Yeah. What's going on? What makes it so special?
Well, being someone who has seen Tropic Thunder first and Apocalypse Now second, it's funny to watch. I mean, Tropic Thunder is like 1 for 1 if everything had gone bad like it had during this production. Like everything went bad during this production, I know that, but it's just hilarious to see these scenes and see Tropic Thunder and be like, wow, they really went for it. But yeah, there's bridges exploding, they're getting shot by missiles from the helicopter, people are getting gunned down. The Viet Cong is like trying to fight back, but they don't have much firepower. They got like flares and stuff that they're shooting into the helicopters and taking some down, but it's really just the army kind of steamrolling over this area and lots of explosions. It's really incredible. There's like a lot of stuff blowing up.
You said there's comedy in this section of the movie, and I agree, but I think the comedy almost plays to like a distorting effect that is just like almost like off-putting and adds to the terror of this movie. You could picture a boss in real life that like really likes surfing or one of their hobbies so much that it like affects their like work life. Mm-hmm. And this is like that taken to the extreme. Like from all accounts that I've heard, the writer of this movie, most of these like little stories were inspired from his friends who told him shit about the war. There probably was like a captain or lieutenant who was obsessed with surfing who would literally napalm a village so that he could get like a sunset surf. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing these epic helicopters in flight, and we're not too removed from Kobe dying in a helicopter. We know what happened in Vic Morrow in the what was that, the Twilight Zone movie. Like helicopters just seem prone for accident. So
Yeah.
when you see them on film like this, it's like, holy shit, they went for it.
The helicopter's property of the Philippine government. We'll talk about this more, of course, in the making of, but apparently a couple times they got called away on missions and shit, like in the middle of this, just utter chaos. But when you get this shot, diegetically playing Ride of the Valkyries, by the way, only playing to fuck with the local population.
We can jam out to this. This isn't
Yeah.
under copyright. Okay, Oscar from ACAST.
It's in the public domain, Oscar. It's fine.
I mean, this scene is like basically in the public domain too. It's been parodied so often in other stuff. Like Flight of the Valkyries is just like the song when someone is getting invaded.
Should we talk about how amazing the movie making is?
Yes.
And how there's a sense of like chaos. It seems like they were barely able to make this, even if you hadn't known any of the behind the scenes stuff. It's like, I don't know, there's so many extras, scene sets, devices used. It's very implausible, everything you're seeing on screen, that this isn't like AI or CGI or something.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that knowing this is practical elevates it so much in my mind, right? And just like the insanity of helicopters like coming down and taking off, the explosions, the fire, it has all of the hallmarks of like a blockbuster, what we would call now, type, war movie, but we're not really feeling great about what's happening in any sense either, right? Like, to your point, Josh, it's really fucked up, and there's bloody people, there's bloody Americans, there's bloody Vietnamese, there's like a grenade that's like a sabotage bomb at one point, and they mow that lady down.
Crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's a lot.
Yeah, the movie takes the time to show her come out. They like actually show her family.
Yeah, dude.
And then it almost is like this rogue daughter comes out and is like, we'll take this grenade, U.S. Army. And then they take the time to have Robert Duvall rip after them in the helicopter and just mow their ass down. It feels educational or something.
It's the balance of like that, right? Like the practical, the like the way that it's shot in Vietnam, like everything about it being so real. Like we just saw a scene on screen a second ago where they're fucking blowing up this bridge, and it's so visceral and crazy with so much attention to detail. But then you also have, yes, landing smoke's a real thing, but like the green, the yellow, the red, like landing smoke that's like all mixing together and shit and starting to get trippy and weird and surreal. Like, not only is it like a technical masterpiece for pulling out these scenes, but it's also like artsy and I guess trippy in a way too, and it's gonna get trippier by the scene as it goes.
There's like a general haze in this movie. Sometimes it's fog, sometimes it's like a drug confusion. Right now we're looking at just like flares, but then there's like explosions and smoke. Later there's like a pink flare they start using. Sometimes they're on the river and it's just like a mist. There's always like some sort of obscuring of the background. We're looking at the scene. You can see extras walking around like a quarter mile in the background through 3 layers of fog.
Different colored fog. And this is the
helicopters
classic,
just rolling through.
The classic napalm in the morning scene. It's stunning. It looks amazing. And while Robert Duvall is like reading these classic lines, like I said, not an exaggeration to me to say one of the greatest movie scenes in history. But Josh, they do ultimately start to make their way up the river, right?
Like I was saying, it's disturbing because it's like, okay, we'll go up the river because some of my men have said that like there's really good surfing here. So Duvall takes them up north. They just napalm, they blow up this village, they mow down that chick that we talked about a second ago. And Robert Duvall, like earlier in the season, said we'll like drop your boat down wherever you want or something like that.
This is the cavalry.
Yeah, true to his word, a helicopter floats in and literally drops chief's boat down in this bay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're at one of the most northern points that the military has like a really good stronghold at. It's kind of the feel I think you're supposed to get here.
That village was a little hairy, though. They had to
But they could get there.
Yeah.
They had airborne support at least up to there.
Mm-hmm. It's fine to surf. Well, the next scene, I'll be honest, I love this movie. I think it's like a perfect movie. It might be like one of my least favorite scenes, but it's also like kind of funny in a way. Mikey, you want to tell us about what happens after the whole crew gets high and they get off the boat? Huge mistake.
Yeah. They get the munchies, and Chef wants to go out there and search for some mangoes. So he hops off the boat with a bucket, and Captain Willard goes out there with him because he knows you don't want to stray too far from the boat, and you really got to know the area if you're going to venture far from the boat. And this guy doesn't. So they're out there looking for these mangoes. Chef is talking, and Marty Sheen, he sees and hears something off into like the thick rainforest, and even this scene like looks incredible. Dude, because they're walking under some like humongous leaves, like prehistoric looking fucking plants, that just incredible vegetation all around them, and these plants are like massive, and they're walking underneath them. And Martin Sheen, this scared the shit out of me. I can't believe you don't like this scene, but this
I didn't say it. I said it was like probably my least favorite. I do like it. It's a perfect movie.
This tiger like pops out at them, and doesn't really chase them. I don't know if they like get a shot on it or something and kill it or shoo it away or something, but they shoot at it, and then they run back to the boat. And then Chef has like not a mental breakdown, but like he's kind of starting to lose it because he was really close to dying there. He really freaked out after seeing the tiger.
There's a sense that Willard has like the whole time too, where he feels superior to the other members of the crew. Not like that he holds it over them or whatever, but like while the crew is getting stoned, Willard has like no interest in that, right? Like he kind of like looks down on it, closes the flap of his area of the boat, and then proceeds to pour a bunch of booze into his canteen.
Right? He's like, I'd rather numb all of my senses.
Right. Exactly. So like this whole scene, like there's that interplay between Chef and Willard, where Chef is super high, reminiscing, and Willard is the one who like hears the tiger and like sneaks into the woods. But it's funny, it's goofy. Josh, you have any thoughts on the tiger scene?
I get what you're saying. It's a little bit out of place, but I think they need like kind of just a safe adventure before anyone dies or something. Like there needs to be an episode in here, and I think it works well as that. Yeah, it also sets the scene up for how freaking deep they are out in the boonies.
Yeah.
So far out that like tigers have territory or something. And they are only reaching like human settlements every couple days or weeks or something. It's a little unclear, but a lot of like hurry up and wait. A lot of boredom amongst these like crazy moments or something.
When the tiger's somewhere in the woods, Morpheus unloads like a whole mini clip into the woods. like no one really knows what's going on. Like everyone's still kind of confused as to why they're so scared or like what they actually saw. You know, they're not communicating clearly like an effective army unit would.
This is a little bit of foreshadowing to Clean taking a lot of pot shots.
Yes.
Later in the movie too.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, in this whole time, Martin Sheen's like, "What the fuck is going on with these stoners?" Like, let me get back to my canteen.
I guess so. Like, I feel like he relates to these guys a lot. I don't think he feels that superior to them. I feel like he's trying to say that It goes back to what he was saying earlier in the movie, where he was like, every day I'm in this hotel room, I'm getting more cushy, and Charlie is out there in the jungle getting stronger. Mm-hmm. So if I come into contact with him, he's going to fuck me up. And I feel like he's kind of thinking that same thing with weed. Like, he probably loves weed, but he's like, that's going to dull my senses just that much more. So, like, I just have
to keep it to booze.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need to drink Jack Daniels just.
Well, you're right. Maybe it's not superiority, but Willard has and mentions that he's gone back to the States and returned. And he's like, the whole time I was there, I was thinking about here. The whole time I'm here, I'm thinking about there. Like, these other people have only done one tour.
You can never go home again. It's like not there.
Mm-hmm.
And
he did have a classic bitch wife scenario back home.
Yeah.
That he had to take care of.
Mm-hmm. Columbo style.
Yeah.
Quick divorce.
I think he has a higher perspective. I don't think he's lording that over them, Pappy.
No,
but,
he's
but
not. Yeah.
What I will say creeps into this movie.
He's willing to go into the woods to look for mangoes.
Yes. But what starts to creep into this movie, and I think this might get out of the scope of our part one, is that his mission can't just be overlooked, and we can't be just doing stupid like-ass little side missions outside of his main mission. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a point to where he kind of snaps and is like, no, we need to, like, get back on track again.
Right. Well, we can't do silly things like watch Playboy Playmates dancing around.
That only takes, like, an hour or so for everyone to jack off.
Yeah, dude.
Whatever happens in that open
quick
arena.
Goon sesh with the boys. The whole battalion's here.
Unreal.
Martin Sheen's like, this isn't really my style. I'm more of a hotel room with blood and booze type guy.
God. That's my R&R style.
Mikey, the USO show. You had mentioned you hadn't seen this movie before, so I'm curious. Were you expecting a scene like this in the middle of Apocalypse Now? I love it. It's not what you expect, though, right?
No, absolutely not. But, I mean, you hear about USO shows, like, during the Iraq War, and they send, like, fucking Toby McGrath or some shit and Kenny Chesney over to Iraq to hold a concert, and you're like, who's setting this up? Who does this? Whose job is this? But it's just for morale for the troops. And I guess that kind of shit's been happening for years, and it's just really bizarre. It's a morale boosting type thing, but this one was like, we're gonna bring in some Playboy Playmates, and it just gets out of hand almost immediately because these guys are all horned up, haven't gooned in weeks. So as soon as they see any woman out there in the jungle, they bum rush the stage, and they got to take off in the helicopter.
And I think you've also literally just seen on screen, like, school children from innocent Vietnamese villages, like, rounded up trying to get to shelter. And then it's like 3 scenes later, it's like the Super Bowl of Playboy bunnies dancing around, and the culture shift of just like this jerking you forward and backwards is pretty insane.
It seems like this is when you're really, really hungry, like starving, so hungry.
And they hold a steak out in front of you and then rip it away on a helicopter.
Like, yeah, well, you go to Costco and you get like a itty bitty sample, and you're like, no, dude, I'm just fucking hungrier now. Like, this didn't satiate
and these women aren't even doing anything overtly sexy. They're just like shaking their hips back and forth.
I'm not trying to be gross. What is the move after this? Everyone just goes in the woods and just rubs one out? Like, what do they do?
I've always thought
No,
of it.
they do it together as a group.
No, that's the Navy.
To build morale.
This isn't the Navy, Mikey.
This isn't the Navy.
I don't know. It just seems odd. They got to be like poking each other with their hard-ons and shit.
They
They're just
all go
dancing
to the
around.
local village and hire a prostitute. Like, I'm thinking best case scenarios here, guys. Like, yeah,
And there's a lot of dudes in the stand.
I listen, all these women are dominating the swimsuit competition part of the pageant. It's just the talent part is lacking. What are they doing? They're just shaking their boobies around, their bags around. They're not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, what is the show? and then just like it's literally a strip show, you know. It's absurd. It's
What do you want him to do? Put on Shakespeare out here? Pat?
Like, give me some Bob Hope, you know, tell some jokes.
I think they wanted
Juggle.
just some softcore things to like.
You think the U.S. government paid them to suck off all the soldiers?
There's a band on stage with like guitars and drums and
Has
shit.
your
It's insane.
workplace never done some sort of semi-corny thing to like kind of appease the workers and like, here's a morale booster?
It did
with
not,
Playboy Playmates?
Can you imagine the HR complaints if this happened?
It's like
at
that,
any
but
other
on a-
scenario.
But this is how messed up this age is. Like, it's government sanctioned Playboy bunnies dancing in front of soldiers who are gonna die the next day. They make a point actually in a couple of these shots to show like the group of soldiers that are in wheelchairs and casts and have like amputated legs and stuff. Like,
Yeah, they have good.
this isn't all just fun and games here happening. It's kind of a disturbing scene. It makes you feel disjointed overall, I would say.
And I do want to just like kind of keep focusing on this part one aspect of it. Willard totally removed the whole time too, right? Like he is not ogling the women or jumping up and down. He can kind of see through like we can. There's level of,
He's literally listening for Charlie during the show.
yeah.
He's
this,
like-
this is seeing through the, hey, we couldn't give you raises, but here's a pizza party at work, right? Like this is like what they are. Like this is what
No
this
races this year, but here's donuts.
Yeah, like here's you can watch a woman shake her bags for like 3 minutes and then get back to killing, you know. So he sees through the bullshit. There's also one shot that is just again insanely weird and impressive, and like the fact that no one died making this movie is fucking crazy on so many levels. But the guy hanging from the helicopter,
Did Martin Sheen not have a heart attack?
I think he did, but I don't think he
did.
died.
Maybe we can get to that in episode 3.
Yeah, well,
Okay. Well, just
That's
a
a
little teaser.
heart of weakness.
I will say, you mentioned this.
Is that a Mikey original? That's sick.
Got him. The Francis
Art
Ford
of
Coppola on his commentary of the Redu version mentioned something exactly on the nose of, I'm so proud that no one died during the production of this film. During a helicopter scene, and I did feel like that was a less than veiled shot at the Landis.
Those guys hanging on it?
No, John. Yeah, well, yeah, and he said that like the John
Landis,
Landis Twilight Zone thing. Like, it felt like an underhanded dig. But yeah, isn't that a weird shot where they're just hanging off the helicopter? That shit's fucking nuts. And they just drop in that little lagoon thing. I'm like, that seems
They get pretty high up there.
crazy and scary. Just outside of the movie making itself.
I wish I could put more of my thumb on this, and maybe this is a Stevie question for next episode when he's back, but there's something about the movie making this like unhinged to the point where it's almost feels like you're in a documentary about it. Things are uncontrollable in the background. Like, it's obvious. These people hanging off the helicopter, I don't really think the director could have controlled when they fell down or not.
Probably not. No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like they did that on their own volition and that they were probably high as shit.
and
or
then,
something.
and then
Like,
he decided to keep the full scene in later or something.
Yeah.
I think as we go through this 3-part series, we'll find that very little was directly under Francis Ford Coppola's control. There was a lot left up to chance and
Hey,
madness.
maybe that's just good movie making because
Yeah.
this movie rocks.
It is an amazing movie. The last thing that I want to mention in this part, and like we mentioned, audience, this section will cover the first 72 minutes approximately of Apocalypse Now. This last scene, but in retrospect, this first whole like hour of the movie does just such an amazing job of mythologizing the character of Kurtz. And even the fact that we know it's Marlon Brando, but we're not seeing him yet. You know what I mean? Like we've seen like the pictures of Marlon Brando. We've seen young Brando doctored up to look like Beret.
He was only 38. God damn it.
Yeah. This is just masterful storytelling about like building up a character who's going to come up later, you know? Like we're learning more about the boss that we'll face at the end of this video game up the river.
We just defeated the tiger mini boss.
Got a save point.
This is the prime question for you, Mikey, because you're not super familiar with this movie and you haven't seen the second half. You stopped here with the rest of the listeners in part 1 at like an hour and 12 minutes or whatever. What is your impression of Kurtz? Like, who is he to you?
Well, you get the impression that he clearly got some orders or saw something in this war that changed him, in some way that he is willing to go against the U.S. government and kind of just go rogue. So I don't know if we'll see that, what he experiences, but the way that Willard talks about him is like he's an incredibly smart person. We get to see his file and like he graduated from Harvard and all this stuff. He has like all the commendations, everything, and he's a really good soldier. But he just went rogue, and that kind of makes him almost really terrifying because you know that he's incredibly smart. So it seems like he's going to be a lot of trouble out in the jungle whenever we get to meet him.
He's got this whole arc where he was this golden boy groomed to like rise up through the corporation, as Willard calls it. And
the fact they call it or that he calls it corporation is also kind of telling on how he feels about the army, because I don't think they'd call it that.
Well, and I did do the math, and he's like basically our age going through special forces training, like starting over after rising that high. I'm like, I was thinking, fuck that, dude. There's no way my ass could do that now.
What is the point? Like, why is he doing that? He needs to reset because he wants to get the survival skills? Is that why he's doing that?
I think it's like a love of the game type thing. Yeah, like that he doesn't.
But like he was being tapped up to be a general, which is crazy. Like, I mean, there's only so few generals, and he was kind of like one of the guys primed to be the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave all that up to join special forces.
They said he could have been the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Like he was like the one.
Mikey, do you have any predictions to what Kurtz might be up to or what his fate might be in our next episode?
I don't know, cannibalism or something. I don't know. Maybe he's eating people out in the woods, and the army got a sniff of that and was like, "Whoa, we can't let anybody find out about this. Get in there, take that freak out, and we won't tell anybody about it." Because they're only sending one guy. It's almost like they're going to kill Martin Sheen even if he's successful. Gets out of there. Is what it seems like. But I don't know. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, he's already killing indiscriminately without any orders from the U.S. government. He's kind of... I mean, that should be enough. I mean, I think they'd at least court-martial your ass, so he must be doing something way worse than that.
Feel like he's far off, do you, Pap?
I feel like it's more like a 3-strike system for murdering people, like before you get court-martialed. Like he's way far down the rabbit hole if they're trying to assassinate him. But who knows? Maybe he's just got his own little tiki hut room and a mirror that he punches and a bottle of liquor that he uses to jerk off with. Maybe they're not so different, you and I.
In part 1, don't they say at some point like he organized some local militias and like did some major operation and just like decided on his own? Is that in this part or the next part?
Yeah, it's this part. I forget what he called it. It's like Operation Overreach or something. It's not that, but it's something like that where he like makes the call on his own.
He hasn't.
The balls on
he
this
hasn't
guy.
assassinated those 4 prominent figures yet, but it's like something similar to that. He like organizes local people in Vietnam to like do something that's considered really successful, and they're like, we're gonna have his ass, but then the press talked about how he was really successful.
Oh, he did like a mission without any like oversight or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which and again, think about that as his character. He was going to be a general, could have had the authority to do this, chooses to go back to special forces, then goes rogue anyway, just for the fucking thrill of it.
Yeah, his biggest problem might be that people respect him so much they view him as a god, and so like he could start his own army or something out there in the jungle.
It's just great. Like, it's just incredible storytelling to mythologize this figure to come within the story at this point, only within like 70 minutes, and having all these other weird little adventures that we've been on. I don't think we should do yes or no's. I have a super quick trivia, but before we do that, and the name read and everything else, get on to part 2. Do you guys have any final thoughts for chapter 1 of Apocalypse?
I honestly can't wait to see where it goes in the second half. I'm probably just gonna watch it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even if we don't pod on it next week or whatever, and I'll probably watch Hearts of Darkness this weekend or something. But this really the plot of it really surprised me. It's not what I was expecting at all. I was kind of just expecting dudes going crazy in the Vietnam War. But the whole like special forces rogue soldier deal going on really is intriguing and really awesome.
I think a final thought for me is, as a young adult, edgy, Heart of Darkness is my favorite book.
Yeah.
Maybe Apocalypse Now actually is my favorite movie. Like, it's so good, and I think it captures the heart of what Heart of Darkness is actually trying to be, even as it deviates and finds its own like kind of niche here in Vietnam/Philippines. There's a lot to like here, Pappy. I mean, this is one of the more dynamic. I don't know. I loved watching this on my computer today, and then as we like pre-pod and then during the pod, I've watched it on your full screen. Like, I just almost want to stop the pod and just be like, "Hey, turn on the movie."
Yeah. I don't think I have any other final thoughts. It is a masterwork. Like I said, the mythologizing of Kurtz. I won't touch on that again. But just like even the character dynamics of the crew. Right? Like, I feel like we know them all really well at this point. And yes, like, Chef has like a little extra exposition when he goes on his Tiger mission. But like, I feel like I have a good sense of all of these people. And they've been well established within like very little screen time that we know them. And, you know, it's really weird and starting to get weirder. So I am looking forward to part 2, which we'll do hopefully next week. When Stevie will be on.
We promised it.
Yeah. Also good music. I like the music a lot. Like, I'm not a big Doors guy. I feel like the cool thing to say is that the Doors are overrated, which fine, whatever, but
I think this is the only music we haven't played yet that I pulled down.
What do we got?
It's not Doors, but we got to talk over this because I know CCR is going to get our ass.
You can't have a Vietnam movie with that little CCR.
I don't.
In stereo.
It's a little Susie Q. You got to keep talking. Oscar from Maycast is going to get our ass if you don't keep talking.
Don't worry, I'll
Oscar,
sing.
please not take
We're
this
critiquing
down.
the movie at this instant.
No real stakes today for trivia. Like I said, gonna be a quick one. I thought of this on my own. We all went to Indiana University, and this is a special, rare opportunity when it's all Hoosier alumni on the podcast. So for today, I was thinking, what if we played Sink the Biz? But we did it with the landmass of Vietnam and U.S. states. So how this game will work is you're going to each name states that will have a certain square mile landmass. And the man who names a state that puts us over the threshold of the square miles of Vietnam will lose. And the other man will get a hot take and kick us to Spoiler Man for the name read. I'm not going to give you any other clues.
I just want to recap.
Right.
We're going to do 3 episodes about this saga.
Yes.
It's part 1, Apocalypse Now. Part 2, Apocalypse Now. Part 3, Heart of Darkness.
Yes.
Part 4 of the book.
Stevie is going to be back with us next week.
Yes.
Those are the general notes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So who's up first?
And this is back and forth. Whoever says more miles loses.
We get it. It's dumb, but we get it.
Well, do you want to go first or second, Josh, since you're such a naysayer? Let's get that shit out of here.
I would love to go second.
Good.
I think Mikey's
Mikey-
going to fuck it up right away.
No. Mikey, go first. Name any U.S. state that you think is a smaller square mileage landmass than Vietnam.
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. I gotta type it in one at a time, but that is well under. Josh?
Vermont.
Still well under. You guys are doing little itty bitty baby pours into the biz cup.
Perfect.
Yeah. You're doing barely putting any in. Mikey?
New Jersey.
Okay. Still plenty of beer left in that cup to be poured. By the way,
Wait, did he just name a city?
no.
I'm just joking.
Sink the Biz, by the way, audience, is one of the least hygienic drinking games ever invented at a college.
Absolutely. Connecticut.
Can you explain Sink the Biz while I type that in?
Well, you want to grease up your hands because you're going to be reaching into a bucket of beer. You don't want to make sure you're eating a bunch of greasy food.
So far, we've said Rhode Island, Vermont, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Mikey?
Maryland.
Plenty of room left in the glass. Can we play any copy? Can we play some Valkyries?
Yeah, that's
Some Flight of the Conchords?
that's free to use for anyone. That's fine. There you go, buddy.
There's plenty.
Like, how much room we got? How much room we got, you boy?
I don't want to say. I'm saying you guys are like stuck in the Northeast. Take a risk. Pour a big
Everything
pour
else is big.
Pour a big pour
into the beer. Yeah.
Get him to the edge.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say Tennessee.
That's a good pour. That's a really, really good pour. But maybe not. Mikey? There might be a lot of room left. Who knows?
I'm gonna go Vermont.
It's been said.
Oh, Vermont, New Hampshire.
Oh, that's a good
It's
one.
a really good one. Josh, there's still room in the glass.
Is there actually room?
There's
though?
still room in the glass.
Seems like there's not.
I think we've said one.
Did he
two-
say Maryland?
Maryland has been said.
Mm-hmm.
There's not. Okay, Hawaii.
Ooh, damn.
There's no place I'd rather be than on a surfboard out at sea. There's still room. I'll give you guys a clue.
There's still room.
You just crossed the 100,000 square mile mark in all of your itty bitty states.
How much room do we have total?
And that's the game.
We don't even know how much room we have.
I'll tell you. But I'm telling you.
I know how big the bucket is. I should know how
Yeah.
how many square miles are left.
Well, that's not how Sink the Viet Cong works.
Yeah, you can. Gosh.
Who's
what else is over there? How about South Carolina?
Mikey, you have to drink the Greasy Pat beer.
Oh no!
Because you sank the biz. South Carolina has 32,000 square miles. Vietnam is 127,000 square miles.
Oh, I was so close.
So you guys were very, very close. We ended the game only like 4,000 miles over. So for reference, Vietnam is about half of Texas is very close, and 3 Virginias, about 3 Indianas, let's say. It's 82 Rhode Islands. So you were filling it up piece by piece. But Josh, you do not have to drink the Greasy Pappy beer. And your favorite movie, your favorite book, pretentious Josh, producer Josh, by the way. If you have anything left in the clip you want to play from that soundboard, the floor is yours. Hot take.
Man,
spoiler man.
Josh. Joseph Conrad, the author of Heart of Darkness. One of my family's best family friends were the Conrads. So maybe that's kind of why I like that book. Who's to say? But I do think I'd like to end with this one clip that happens at the end of the movie. I think it's a perfect kind of like tension builder. What's another word for that?
That built a lot of suspense. Dramatic.
So I think this half of the movie kind of ends with a bombshell because certain parties kind of realize it's a suicide mission, and of our main crew, there hasn't been too many deaths yet.
Oh, yeah? What do you think, Chief?
I don't think. My orders say I'm not supposed to know where I'm taking this boat, so I don't. But one look at you and I know it's gonna be hot, wherever it is.
We're going upriver about 75 clicks above the Dolong Bridge.
That's Cambodia, Captain.
That's classified. We're not supposed to be in Cambodia, but that's where I'm going. You just get me close to my destination and I'll cut you and the crew loose.
All right, Captain.
Special thank you to our patrons, Matt Troll, Brother Brian, Druid King, Nick, The Meg, Nurse Stacy, The Wolf, Barky 420, PK, Spencer, Gale, Swole, Cheese Zombie, Sebastian, Dr. Lar, Stone Cold Austin, Nephew Quinn, Best Friend Drew, Shatty Daddy, Jimmy the Cricket, Optimus E, the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, Derbs, Teddy Ruxpin. Please check us out on patreon.com/spoilerspodcast.
And that was a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
Miss you, Stevie.
Wish Stevie were here. Miss you, bud.
That was Spoilers.